You already know that SpongeBob is one of the most famous cartoons in history, but what you probably don't know is the massive amount of creepy knockoffs and strange versions that the Krusty Krab's most famous employee has all around the world, and even inside Bikini Bottom itself. And without a doubt, one of the weirdest and most bizarre of these knockoffs and versions is the one that appears in an animated series called Drawn Together. And don't worry, if you've never heard of this cartoon, that's because it's made for adults and is loaded with crude jokes and, let's just say, questionable content. The series follows twisted versions of several famous characters like Betty Boop, Link from The Legend of Zelda, and even Superman. But without question, the most ridiculous version of all is SpongeBob, who in the cartoon is called Woolor Sockbat. In fact, you could say he's a mix of SpongeBob, Woody Woodpecker, and Ren and Stimpy. But his voice and eyes are absolutely inspired by the resident of Bikini Bottom, and trust me, this is one version of SpongeBob you'll never want to see. But this is only the first creepy SpongeBob version you'll be meeting today. Get ready to have your mind blown. Let's dive in together right now. Now let's talk about a version that's both a creepy imitation of SpongeBob and a bit of a self-aware parody. And it's not us saying that, it's his own creator. There's an animation channel on YouTube called @MikeWardDraws. And as the channel's mascot, an animator, probably named Mike, created Jacked Rabbit. At least that's what we believe he's called, since that's the name shown in one of his videos. And in one of the shorts posted on the channel, the creator pokes fun at himself by saying his character is basically just a SpongeBob copy. And we can't deny the similarities. He's small, square, and has big round eyes, just like Gary's owner.
Do you know who I am? A knockoff SpongeBob SquarePants?
Another strange version of our beloved SquarePants-wearing sponge that we found while digging through the internet is a SpongeBob mashup with one of my favorite fruits. And no, we're not talking about Coconut Fred, that shameless SpongeBob ripoff created by Cartoon Network, which we covered in our video about shameless SpongeBob copies. This one is actually a watermelon SpongeBob, probably created by the channel Lofi Fruits, which is dedicated exclusively to music themes. And as the channel's face, they have a watermelon slice with big, black, round eyes. A few years ago in 2020, the channel released a video with an adapted version of SpongeBob's ending theme, and it was pretty cool. Then in 2021, another channel called Orange Stick released a version made by the same fruit music team, but this time with a still image of their mascot reimagined as SpongeBob. If you look closely, behind him is Bikini Bottom itself, and he's even wearing the Krusty Krab cook's hat, proving the authenticity of the copy, if you can call a copy authentic. If you really stretch your imagination, you could say this watermelon SpongeBob is the result of a mutation that blended SpongeBob's series and Bikini Bottom with Coconut Fred and his Fruit Salad Island. Creepy. Continuing our relentless hunt for strange SpongeBob versions, we stumbled upon what is probably the creepiest one yet, and we're about to show you. There's an original Indian channel called Rock Indian Gamer that's dedicated exclusively to gameplay videos, starring an avatar of the cat from Augie and the Cockroaches, which by the way is a great cartoon. And in one of their videos, the channel's owner shows an amateur, totally unofficial game set inside the Krusty Krab, featuring alternate versions of the show's characters, like Patrick, Squidward, and even Plankton. But the whole game is focused on creepy horror, with a terrifying muscular SpongeBob as the final boss and the main pursuer in the game. After watching this gameplay, I don't think I'll ever see SpongeBob the same way again. Before we keep listing the worst and weirdest SpongeBob knockoffs and versions, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our next videos. Everyone knows that SpongeBob has his very own theme park in Germany, and even a hotel that recreates the pineapple house of the main resident of Bikini Bottom. But here's a brand new thing that just dropped in August 2025. SpongeBob's very own soda. Released by Olipop in the flavor Paradise Pineapple, the drink combines tangerine with pineapple and comes in several collectible cans, each featuring SpongeBob SquarePants with a different facial expression for fans who want to collect them all. Now, to make the perfect SpongeBob-style snack, all that's missing is a delicious Krabby Patty. Something we'll only get to enjoy if we ever discover Mr. Krabs' top secret recipe. If you're like us and love SpongeBob, but are also a fan of Japanese animation, you'll be happy to know there's even an anime-style version of Patrick's best friend and all his pals. In this version, named Spongebob Anime by its creator, our hero is portrayed in a much more serious way. Patrick becomes a wise samurai, while SpongeBob himself turns into a ninja capable of incredible feats. Not to mention the epic soundtrack, which could get even the most casual anime fan hyped, imagining what it would be like if Nickelodeon actually greenlit this project for real, which, let's be honest, we all know will probably never happen. But still, it would be seriously awesome. In another one of our videos, we talked about a Chinese SpongeBob parody made over 10 years ago by a Dutch comedy channel called Boom Chicago. And right alongside China, one of the most populated countries in the world is India, which, in fact, now has even more people than its neighbor. I don't know about you, but India has always seemed like one of the most unique places in the world, and I mean that in the best possible way. So, have you ever wondered what it would be like if there were an Indian version of SpongeBob? Well, if you haven't, YouTuber Anuja K already did it for you. Even though her channel is entirely focused on Indian Hindustani music, in one of her videos, videos, she decided to pay tribute to what she calls her favorite cartoon, SpongeBob SquarePants. So she made a video showing SpongeBob dressed in traditional Indian clothing, even sporting one of those mustaches we often associate with the world's most populous country. I don't know about you, but I thought this version was hilarious, especially because the show's opening theme was done in a Hindustani style I had never heard before. Since we're talking about different versions of SpongeBob, we can't forget to mention the African-American version of the most famous jellyfish catcher under the sea. Over 10 years ago, a fan of the SquarePants-wearing sponge created a profile on the social media platform X called Black SpongeBob. Even though no posts were ever made, the design is pretty funny. The creator completely changed SpongeBob's yellow color to a dark skin tone, and honestly, it looks great. On top of that, the fan gave him much cooler outfits than his usual white shirt and red tie. It turned out really stylish. While digging deeper online, we found that there are actually other fan-made versions of SpongeBob with African heritage, and we think they look fantastic. A great tribute to the millions of SpongeBob fans who identify as black. Unlike the last version we mentioned, which was actually pretty cool, there's another version that's honestly way creepier, the live-action SpongeBob. Some fans of the character had the brilliant yet terrible idea of using AI to create SpongeBob in a real-world version, and honestly, I think the cartoon version is way better. I'm not completely sure, but after seeing what SpongeBob would look like in real life, I'm just glad he's only a fun animated character. He looks like he walked straight out of a horror game, kind of like the one we already showed here in the video. Am I traumatized now? Definitely a step up from the realistic SpongeBob is the human version of the character, still as a cartoon. Some fans created amazing art showing SpongeBob as if he were an adult man with yellow hair and blue eyes. Even though it's way less traumatizing than the realistic version, I have to say I still prefer the animated version 1,000 times more. It's hard to picture a 30-year-old man who can't drive, wearing a red tie, brown shorts, and knee-high socks, which is exactly what SpongeBob is if you really think about it. And we saved the saddest SpongeBob version for last. If you watch animated shows made for adults, you've probably heard of South Park, the cartoon that makes fun of absolutely everything and everyone in the world. There's a character in the series about the boys from Colorado named Towley, and that's literally what he is, a talking towel. The similarities to SpongeBob are pretty hard to ignore. Towley has a square-like shape, rounded eyes, and always shows up to give important advice about how to properly use a towel. The creators probably didn't consciously try to make a SpongeBob knockoff, but it's very possible their subconscious did it without them even realizing. Towley's first appearance was in the episode Towley back in 2001, 2 years after SpongeBob's debut in 1999. And like we said, South Park is an adult comedy cartoon, so of course Towley's storyline ended up being completely outrageous. He becomes addicted to, let's just say, certain products, if you know what I mean. That's definitely a terrible example for any kid. I doubt the real SpongeBob would even be able to light a joint underwater. But come to think of it, maybe it's not so impossible. After all, they somehow managed to light campfires down there. Our list is over, but you don't have to leave just yet. We've got 2 videos right here for you to keep having fun. Pick one and let's head to the next.